Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's taken over our kitchens, our gyms, our everything. That constant nagging pressure to eat more protein.
So, you know the scene, right? It's 9 o'clock at night. You've had a great day of eating yogurt for breakfast, a nice chicken salad for lunch, salmon for dinner. You feel good. But then, right before bed, you open your tracking app and you see it. You're at 127 grams of protein, but your goal is 170. And just like that, the whole day feels like a failure. Next thing you know, you're in the kitchen chugging a chalky protein shake you don't even want, all just to make a number on a screen turn green. If that sounds even a little familiar, well, you are definitely not alone.
You know, there's actually a name for this feeling. It's called protein maximalism anxiety. It's that pervasive stress that comes from this relentless pressure to eat way more protein than you actually need. And it's almost always driven by social media and marketing. So today, we're going to unpack where all that pressure really comes from and what the science actually says about how much protein we should be eating.
All right, first up, the protein panic. And look, this feeling, it's not just personal. It's actually part of a massive cultural trend that has gone completely mainstream.
I mean, just how widespread is this? Check this out. In 2024, a staggering 61% of Americans reported that they were intentionally increasing their protein intake. That's not a niche gym thing anymore. That is a huge cultural shift, and it shows just how deep this obsession really goes. Okay, so where is all of this pressure really coming from? That brings us to section 2, myth versus science. Because wow, there is a huge disconnect between the popular advice we hear all the time and what the actual scientific evidence tells us. It really all boils down to that one golden rule you hear everywhere, right? You've got to eat 1 gram of protein for every single pound you weigh. It's treated like gospel in fitness circles. But have you ever stopped to ask, where did that rule even come from? Well, spoiler alert, it didn't come from a modern research lab. Nope. This rule was basically born in the 1970s bodybuilding scene, a world of, let's be honest, extreme training and rampant steroid use. It was then pushed really hard by a young and aggressive supplement industry. It's classic bro science, not peer-reviewed science. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at this gap. The official minimum just to avoid being deficient is way down here at 0.8 grams per kilogram. The scientific sweet spot for active people trying to build muscle, that's in this range, between 1.4 and 2.0. But that popular 1 gram per pound rule, that's all the way up at 2.2, overshooting what most people actually need by a long shot. And it's not a small difference. A major scientific review put it bluntly. Once you hit about 1.6 grams per kilogram, more protein does not equal more muscle. There's a ceiling, you know? Anything you eat beyond that isn't building more muscle, it's just costing you money. Okay, so if the science is so clear, why do we all feel so protein deficient all the time? Well, that leads us right into section 3, the anxiety machine. And as you can probably guess, all you have to do is follow the money. $30 billion. That's the current value of the global protein supplement market. So yeah, there is a massive financial incentive to convince you that you're not getting enough from your food and that you absolutely need their products to succeed. And trust me, the industry has a playbook for this. It's pretty simple, really. Step 1, inflate the target with rules like 1 gram per pound. Step 2, gamify the goal with all those tracking apps that make hitting that inflated numbers feel super urgent. Step 3, attach your identity to it, so you start to believe that serious lifters always hit their numbers. And then finally, step 4, sell you the convenient, expensive solution to the problem that they just created. And this anxiety is just fueled by this fire hose of misinformation. Get this, a recent Harvard review of popular supplement videos on TikTok found that a shocking 97% of them had no scientific evidence whatsoever. The platforms where most people get their nutrition advice are just saturated with bad information. And this brings us to a really crucial takeaway. That feeling of failure you get when you miss your protein target, I want you to really hear this. You are not failing at your protein goals. You are succeeding at someone else's marketing strategy. But this obsession isn't just about our wallets. It can also have a very real cost to our mental health. Which brings us to section 4, the real cost. You know, there's a clinical term for this, orthorexia nervosa. It's an obsessive preoccupation with eating correctly or purely, where dietary rules start to cause you significant distress. And when hitting your protein goal feels like some kind of moral victory, well, it can create the exact kind of rigid thinking that defines this condition.
So, how do you know if a healthy habit has crossed the line and become harmful? Just ask yourself, does missing a protein goal trigger intense guilt? Does the thought of eating out with friends cause you stress because you can't track it perfectly? Has food become more about performance and numbers than about nourishment? If your diet is causing you distress, that is a huge red flag. So, with all of this in mind, what does a healthier, more evidence-based approach look like? Section 5 is all about recalibrating health. Let's find a saner path forward. Here are the actual science-backed numbers. As you can see, for most active adults, the optimal range is about 0.55 to 0.73 grams per pound, which is significantly lower and way more achievable than the popular myth. Even for people who are aggressively trying to build muscle, the science shows you don't need to go higher than 0.91. And here's the real irony. People get so fixated on hitting this one specific protein number that they often ignore the things that matter so much more for their overall health. Things like the quality of their diet, not just the macros, or fiber intake, consistent sleep, and, of course, the actual resistance training that signals muscle growth in the first place. You can't just eat your way to building muscle. So, if you take only one thing away from this whole thing, please let it be this. You are not protein deficient. You have been convinced that you are. The goal here is to build a healthy, strong body without sacrificing your mental health. Protein is a crucial nutrient for sure, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. So eat your protein, just don't worship it.